Hey everybody, film number two, which is actually film number one of today's Sunday double feature that I watched at my Regal. Look, I changed shirts, so it seems different. And I gave it away. I'm terrible at this. Anyhow, I went to see The Devil Wears Prada 2. The cast, right? Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Stanley Tucci, Emily Blunt. You know the people. You know them, you love them. You love the first movie. Um, I, of course, was seeing this by myself again, so I went to the 11 o'clock in the morning show because everybody gives you the sympathy look at movies like this when you walk in and they're like, that poor guy. So, better let's just take my back seat in the corner, watch the film unfold. So, I wanted to see this. Um, Unsure of if I wanted to see this or not. When trailers came out and everything, I think I felt questioning about, the first movie was so good, ended on such a good note. Why make part two? Is this just money? Is this just fan service stuff? And I would tell you, just if you're on the fence about it, I'd say this is a great stand. You're obviously going to need to watch part one to know the relationships between the characters, but it really just isn't a fan service movie. It's got its own plot, it's its own point. And I think the time it's coming out right now is an important time for it to come out. Like when it came out 20 years ago, am I wrong on that? It had a definite purpose to say as we were coming into kind of online social media culture. Now we're at this point where journalism is where it's at. We're seeing obviously currently in our world where journalism is at. Back then there were magazines, there were newspapers, and those are all going away and being bought up by large conglomerates and being stripped out. And I think we saw a lot of that in the early days. If you've ever watched Ben Stiller's Walter Mitty, was just beginning, and you kind of sense that character in this through BJ Novak's character, very similar to Adam Scott's character in Walter Mitty. But I think it has a lot to say, and so yeah, it's got its heart, it's got its relationships. Obviously, great work by the core four of the actors and everyone that's surrounding them. So yeah, definitely Anne Hathaway, definitely Amy Blunt, definitely Meryl Streep, and definitely Stanley Tucci. Um, not just, and I think people talked about that before. They're just going to phone in performances. They definitely did. They brought the characters back in new and interesting ways. I think with new and interesting perspectives on the characters. They just didn't become cookie cutters of themselves, if any of this makes sense. But it has a really good message about the current state of journalism and AI in that fight. And I guess for me, it became even more real. The trailers and commercials before the movies, there was a Champion Windows ad, which I made a post for earlier about, where it very much seemed, and I think this is in debate online too, that the actresses in the movie, in the ad, were seemingly they had the kind of weird mouth thing and just the weird eye gaze that gets into it. And I thought, what a bold statement at a movie theater when we're fighting to preserve movies and we're fighting to preserve Hollywood and acting and the contracts. And as these companies merge and the debate becomes, should we just start moving to AI images and use AI actors and actresses and bring back dead actors and actresses into AI films? And obviously, this was a big part of the strike a few years ago. Um, I myself drove out to LA a few years ago to bring water and relief to the strikers because I do believe in this cause. I love movies, obviously. I love art. I love human art. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, that it's kind of a stab in the eye. If that was, in fact, I'm not saying it was because I'm not definitely sure, but this movie asked that question, right? What is humanity without our creativity, without the things that we build, whether in this film it's architecture, whether it's fashion, whether it's movies, whether it's music, like this movement that we're in towards anti-intellectualism and anti-art, and we see this in a lot of the push to destroy college majors. Here in Indiana, they're doing that. They're destroying and getting rid of artistic majors. They're moving us into course loads in high schools, especially in the ones in Indiana where I'm at, to make a more work focused orientation and not a liberal arts, fine arts agenda to also give us our cultural soul. And this movie talks about that. Like, creativity is our soul. And if you take that soul away, what are we doing? Like, I know we're just filling space. And I think you see that in this movie too. There's the debate between kind of the commoners and the elite that's in this as well. But I think at its heart, artists give us our soul. And if we're not, we're just filling time. I see this in the plane scene in this, where without the artist, we're just filling our time. And I think that in itself makes this movie worth seeing for that debate and that argument. And I thought they did a phenomenal job expressing that argument while keeping the heart of the film, while keeping the comedy of the film, while keeping those really tight relationships and just, yeah, great job all around. Great writing. I like it. I'm glad it didn't go for the easy fan service stuff, just for fan service sake, but decided to really stake kind of a claim on a current issue. So well done. If you're interested in that, I would go see it for that. Just, again, I don't know if that commercial was AI or not, but there couldn't have been a better movie, I guess, for it to open up before, with that question lingering in the air if it was or not. So good job, everybody involved in Devil Wears Prada 2. And go see it. Oh, sorry, before I jump off too, sorry. Kenneth Branagh, I want to give a shout out to Kenneth Branagh. Didn't expect him in the film. Loved seeing him in the film. BJ Novak, great job in the film. Yeah, adding a lot to new characters that fit in seamlessly. So didn't want to forget about those two as well. Oh my gosh. And also all of the new people who also joined as the new assistants throughout the magazine itself, well, now the online magazine. Great job. As kind of the next generation of new talent in that place. Everybody just did a great job. Gave the story a lot of heart. So